And I don't even know how this came across my timeline. I think what happened is somebody replied to the clip and they tagged me in it so I would see it. Somehow this clip from Peter Rosenberg's TikTok. Now, Rosenberg is the one who does the WWE pre-show panel. He's on the radio in New York as well, but he does the WWE pre-show panels. I got tagged in this, and it's a clip of him talking about how funny it is that the thing that all of the hardcore AEW fans loved about the company and loved about the product was that it wasn't just one man wielding his power over everything like Vince McMahon did in WWE, right? Where he ruled with an iron fist. And everything being about what Vince McMahon wants, and how now, he says, that's what Tony Khan has become with AEW. Now, he's the rich guy who runs the entire show, while in WWE, Vince McMahon is gone from creative and now it's Triple H running the show with help from all of these different people. I don't know who these people are, but he says, with help from all these different people. I have no idea what he's talking about, right? Now Tony Khan is the rich guy who runs the show. When has Tony Khan not run the show? Where has this guy been? Tony Khan has run the show creatively since that last Dynamite 4 years ago when we got that horrendous segment with the Dark Order laying out the Elite. Remember those the phantom punches from the minions of the Dark Order? Right? Garbage is what that segment was. Jim Ross said he was embarrassed by it. It was so bad that after it was over, that's when we got the reports about Tony Khan taking more creative control in the shows. He pulled the reins in more from the Elite so that he would have more control over the creative on the shows. He basically stripped the Elite of whatever creative input they had at that point. It's been his show ever since. For better or worse, it's been his show ever since. Tony Khan, it's not hard to see. Tony Khan has certain things that he likes in his wrestling product. If you watch the show, it's clear as day. He loves the hardcore shit. All the blood and all the garbage matches, right? He loves it. And he loves work rate matches. He brings in talent from all over the world, from Japan and from Mexico. He throws them on TV with no stories most of the time, just to have, banger matches on TV. And that's what his hardcore audience wants to see. They lap it up. If Vince McMahon gave his audience the same thing, those same hardcore AEW fans, they would be hardcore WWE fans right now. It's the whole point. They were looking for something other than Vince McMahon's sports entertainment in their product, and they found that in AEW. That hasn't changed. Right? That aspect of things hasn't changed. The reason they hated the WWE product and they wanted an alternative is because they weren't getting that. So I'm not sure what point he was even trying to make. I think he's missing the point entirely. I think what's happened, I'll tell you what's happened. And this is only part of it. But what's happened is that Vince McMahon, for all those great years that he had creatively, okay? And again, I grew up a WWE fan living in the Northeast. That's what I watched. That was my jam. I grew up, I watched all the syndicated shows. I didn't have cable until the mid-90s, but I would go over to my grandparents' house, and that's how I would keep up with what was going on Monday Night Raw and the occasional primetime wrestling and all that. So I was all about that. And I got a lot of fond memories, okay, from my wrestling childhood, because everybody always loves to throw this in my face when I talk about Vince McMahon today in a creative capacity. How dare you? You should show respect for the man that, created the product that you used to love. It's like, okay, yeah, I've acknowledged that. There was a lot of great stuff back then that I look back fondly on, right? There were a lot of creatively very successful years. There were some not so successful creative years also back then. But there was a lot of great stuff. What happened is, though, he held on for too long and he got old. He got old and he refused to allow any other voices to influence the product, and he kept making money off those fat guaranteed TV contracts, so he didn't care. He gets paid no matter what every year, millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars by USA and by Fox and Peacock, right? $1 billion for a 5-year Peacock deal. All this guaranteed money they didn't have back then. He's been living off that and living off his reputation. And we suffered through hours of bad television as a result. because he didn't have it anymore. He lost the top speed on his fastball a long time ago. He became a shell of what he once was. He could have just run the business side of things and let Triple H or someone with a fresh pair of eyes run the creative end of things, and he didn't do that for the longest time. Instead, he got pressured into stepping away last year, which he didn't want to do. Then he forced his way back in. He single-handedly ruined the Raw after WrestleMania this year. Now he's gone again. For the time being. I keep checking my closets and under my bed to make sure he's not hiding out, ready to pop out, right? You never know with this guy. He's got more lives than a cat. Now he's back out again, and Triple H has full control over creative, and he can flex his muscles as he sees fit. And so now, the boogeyman is gone. AEW felt like the alternative to Vince McMahon's circus. Only now the circus has a new ringmaster, and they can't blame Vince McMahon anymore. And things aren't perfect under Triple H, but the product has improved. It's better than it was. These people, they can't lean on that anymore. Like a crutch. And the mistakes that are made with AEW, they're going to be more glaring now to people who were willing maybe to overlook them early on because, well, hey, it beats the alternative and there's growing pains, and so we'll look past it. It has nothing to do with one rich guy running the entire show and now the other rich guy, right, has his hands in everything. He's had his hands in things since year one. His plate is way more full now than it was back then, but that cool alternative factor, it's not there anymore, right? The new car smell is gone. People are calling them out more for their mistakes or things that they could be doing better. And it's going to happen a lot more as Tony Khan signs more people and then doesn't know what to do with them because he has so many of them. That's why you have a guy like Ethan Page requesting to work Ring of Honor because he doesn't want to be sitting around not being able to work. So he went to Tony Khan and said, hey, let me work ROH so I can actually get in the ring and wrestle. He got to wrestle Kenny Omega on Collision last night because they were in Canada, so they put the two Canadians in the ring together. Like they did with Copeland and Christian on Wednesday. Does that mean we're going to start seeing Ethan Page on television? Probably not. But hey, respect to him for going to the boss and saying, look, if he's unhappy about not getting enough ring time, he's trying to take the initiative and say, okay, look, if you don't have a spot for me on this show, put me on the other show. But that's a problem. It absolutely is a problem in AEW right now. But it has nothing to do with one rich guy over the other. That has nothing to do with anything. It has to do with the fact that for a while there, AEW was the land of opportunity. For all these people, if you're unhappy over there, if you're not getting opportunities over there, come on over here, right? This is a safe space. It's a safe haven for you, right? We're different than the other place. And they are different in many ways. That's why you're getting something like the Continental Classic, which you wouldn't get something like that on WWE television. I happen to enjoy the tournament. Some people don't. They think, oh, there's no stories. It's just wrestling. Of course, if they watch the tournament, there are stories that are playing out in the tournament. And we've gotten some great matches on TV, and I like seeing that too on these shows. I'm not saying that AEW needs to be a carbon copy of WWE, right? It should be different in some way. Having something like the Continental Classic is perfectly fine. But again, that feeling, we've talked before about this feeling of AEW as the true alternative. It's been missing. It hasn't been there for a while. That's one of the biggest reasons why. And that's something Tony Khan is going to have to struggle with as we go into 2024. And he's going to be bidding against them and bidding against Triple H, all these free agents, right? I said Okada and Mercedes and all these people, Deonna Purrazzo, they're going to be looking to possibly land in new homes. Are they going to go to WWE or are they going to go to AEW? A few years ago, a lot of these people probably would have ended up in AEW. Why do you think Sasha left in the first place? Vince McMahon was probably the biggest reason why she and Naomi walked out. Now that he's gone, there's a very good chance with Triple H in charge, she'll go back. Things have changed. That's the biggest difference. How Tony Khan handles that in 2024 and what kind of deal he gets, television deal, rights deal, that will tell the tale. That's why I've said consistently that 2024 is shaping up to be the most important year in the history of AEW. It will tell the tale of where this company is headed in 2025 and beyond.